Smash the over the hump button. Smashed. You're still muted.
I didn't say anything. I was just doing finger guns.
Finger gunning the intro. Hello, Nez. Hello, Den. Hello, Zooted. Hello, you guys. Hello, Man Cub.
Hello, it says post show. Just saying.
Baby Den.
It says post show.
Gosh darn it. Production?
Dang damn it.
Production?
Holy moly.
Jeez.
What are you doing?
Man, what's happening? And
I'm having two cats fighting under my feet right now. So yay.
Supposed to have a headphone on. Holy cow. People aren't prepping me. Kelly?
We were
Starfall.
too organized. That's the problem. Kelly, yay. Okay. Yeah.
We're too
Oh
relaxed.
my gosh. We were too relaxed because we were too prepared. We were better off when we were not prepared.
I don't know. I have
That's a
a
fact.
ton of stuff written down at production. Production wrote like logs.
Big meeting today.
I've got logs worth of stuff. I've got like 9 tabs open trying to control all the information, and I'm not.
So much going on.
They met with you first. They only gave me a little bit of direction, so I'm not really sure what's happening
You
tonight.
love me. I mean, they didn't do my makeup and hair tonight, but okay.
You know, it's like it's one thing or another. I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, tonight is very much the low-key post-election vibe.
It is, yes. We're in a better mood tonight than we were last night.
A little bit better mood. I'm still not in a great mood. Not in a great mood. This isn't about the election though.
Next week, Amy wears black and Skojo wears pink.
Ooh, yeah, I like that.
We could make that happen. I do have a pink shirt.
We could definitely make that happen.
I own a pink shirt because of breast cancer awareness, and so when we have that day at work, I always wear my pink shirt into work.
Yes.
I'm
wearing my favorite wineries.
Perfect. Is that the one in Finger Lakes?
It is one of the ones in the Finger Lakes of the great state of New York. Yes.
Another idea for a show. Favorite wineries, bourbons, etc., etc.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Salmon. Yeah, Dan, that's what it is. Salmon. All right.
Yeah.
So you guys have all been here before. You know the routine. We are going to go through the podcast. We were going to record it. So we will be typey interactive with chat, but not directly talking to you guys in chat. So that we can take the recording and put it out to all the stuff out there in podcast
all
land.
Millions of people that want to listen to us every week.
Awkward thing. Number 1 show on Wednesday nights named Over the Hump. Also streamed on Twitch. I mean, thanks to you guys. We're number 1.
It's all you guys. All 7 of you tonight.
It'll pick up as people go, oh crap, that's right, it's Wednesday.
Hey, Nez is here on time and it's a time difference, so I'm super proud.
Was Nez here an hour early tonight, though? That's the question.
No, I think he's here right at the smack on time. He knows it.
Post-pandemic, I want to go on a romantic tour of the JD Distillery. Just saying, with Skojo. Den, 100%. And the...
Can I go too?
What's the other one right across from it? Dickel is right across from it, so heck yeah. Friggin' DST. I hate it too, man. The time should never change.
Never, ever.
All right.
It's stupid. I hate it.
All right, okay. Let's go ahead and get started. Interesting topic tonight. Let's see how it goes. Let me scroll this up.
Let's see.
And you guys can hear Amy just fine, right?
Am I good?
Amy's audio good?
Am I 8?
That's the responsibility
As the kids say.
of chat each week, is to make sure Amy's audio is good. Kelly's like, yeah, man.
Thanks, Cal. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Maybe.
Maybe.
Shite.
Shite.
All right. Shite. All right. Here we go. I'm smashing the record button in here in just a second. So good luck. Godspeed. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 7th episode of Over the Hump, our little weekly podcast where we try to take you away from the craziness that's going on in the world, away from the craziness of the election, away from the craziness of what may be going on in school, university, and your personal life at work, COVID, and talk about some stuff to help you get through the week. With us, as always, is the lovely, wonderful, talented musket shooting Amy Beth. Hello, Amy Beth.
Hello. Namaste.
Namaste. That's right. That's 2 in a row. So that is the official Amy Beth welcome into the stream.
It's so inappropriate that I apologize. It's probably awful. Should not do it.
I don't know. I think it's good. It already put me in a sense of calm as we get this show underway.
Breathe, inhale and exhale.
Feels like something I heard in Pilates once. All right. Yes, so this is an important one. If you're listening this week, you may need a little distraction.
Yep.
Whew, it's been a rough couple of days. Anyway, Whiskey Wednesday. We're back to Whiskey Wednesday. We did Wine Wednesday. We did Mixed Drink Cocktail Wednesday. We had Absinthe Wednesday. We had all kinds of craziness going on.
All sorts of things happening.
Tonight we're back to Whiskey Wednesday.
It's such good whiskey, too.
We're drinking the same whiskey tonight because it's really, really good.
It's so good.
So tonight, in the glass, we are drinking some Whistle Pig branded stuff. It is Piggyback, which is 100% rye, aged 6 years, and just wonderful. We love it. It's a great way. Whistle Pig has fantastic whiskeys and bourbons. I wouldn't know because most of them are too expensive, but this one is in the price range and it is really, really good. Highly recommended. Definitely one of the favorites that we drink.
100% in the price range, which is great because I usually only can get like a little bit of it on, like maybe if I'm on an expense account, which I'm not on anymore because that's not what I do anymore. But Whistle Pig is one of my favorite purveyors. Wait, was that a word? Purveyors? Anyway.
It works here.
I love it because it's incredibly smooth for the price point. It tastes so much more expensive than it was. And I like that I get a hint. I don't know, it's just me. I may be the only one, but I get a little hint of smokiness, which to me reminds me a little bit of a Scotch, which I don't know. It's just fabulous. I love it. Anyway, just saying. I don't know if I'm just talking out my behind, but
I know what you're saying. I feel you on the hint of a Scotch in there. I can definitely see what you're saying.
It's super smooth. It's really tasty. It's complex. I love it. Okay.
Yeah, it's a great pour. It's got a lot of flavor in it. You can just throw it in with a rock and enjoy it. You don't have to make a cocktail out of it or anything.
So I had my special rocks and then I ran down of them. So now I have little baby rocks.
Oh no. I have the classic one big rock.
I had the one big one, but I realized I had like a fatal error in not refilling my little special big rock.
Oh yeah, I have that. I have 2 trays so that when one's empty, it gets automatically re-watered. So the other one, not that I drink a lot of whiskey, but you never want to be out a cube. But I did get the whiskey stones. Oh, nice. I did get the whiskey stones. So I have those now.
If those work.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm waiting to use it with one that I know I don't want to water down at all. This might have been a good one to try it out with.
I feel like this is a good one because I almost feel like I lose a lot with these, especially the smaller ice cubes. I do feel like I'm losing a bit of what I loved so much when I tasted it initially without any rocks in it. But I do like a cold whiskey. I just am not one who usually drinks at room temperature. But this one I feel like could be drunk at room temperature really easily too, and is pretty lovely anyway. But I do like it a little chilled. So
I'm with you. I just prefer just a little bit of chill. I can drink it room temperature very easily, and that's usually how I'll drink something the first time. Is just do room temperature, do a pour.
Well, yeah, I did my first taste of this. This little finger of it was room temperature, just to get all of the notes that I could get out of it, and man, it's really good.
Awesome.
I don't usually rave that much, so.
It's true. It's a good. It's a good one. She's fired up about it. Whistle Pig Piggyback. Go check it out for sure.
That's you, not me. Whatever that beeping is.
I know. My apologies. So it's craziness out. People are celebrating the podcast. They can't get enough of it. They're trying to wave me down through the window. So no, hang on, people.
They want to be in the audience.
I go out on the balcony afterwards and greet the masses, and it's a wonderful thing. So anyway, with the whiskey in the glass, yeah, exactly. With the whiskey in the glass, every single week we do shout outs to people in the community that we want to shout out or recognize for being extremely supportive of the show, asking questions, et cetera, et cetera.
Personally supportive.
Yeah. So tonight we have two people again that we want to recognize. I'll go first tonight. Again, just like every single week, it's a coin flip. There's so many people that support us and like the show, and we really, really appreciate it. And it's hard to do two every week, but
yeah. For sure.
With that, we've got to cut it down to two. Production won't let us do more, so here we are. So my shout out for the week is someone known in the Twitch world for his entrances into streams. He pops up into every stream everywhere. He has a saying that is iconic across our little group of friends that we have in the Discords.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
And he's been supportive of the show. He did ask a question last week that made it as part of the Q&A, so we want to thank him for that. But this week, I'd like to recognize and give a shout-out to Frost. Good old Frost. So, Frost Sabun, who is also a Twitch streamer, also out there. He does a lot of photography work. He does have an Instagram. Go check out his page. Give him some follows.
Talented.
He's a great kid. We really love having him around. And
well, shit.
Well, shit. That one's for you, Frost.
Cheers.
Cheers, buddy. So who is yours?
Deserved. All right. I'm going to break the rules. I'm going to break the rules not once, not twice.
Oh, no.
But I'm going to break the rules 3 times over. I'm sorry. Production's going to kick me out of the podcast.
Oh, we've got to change.
So no, it's not a change. I've decided that because of circumstances that are beyond my control, I have to shout out a duo versus a single person because it's all based on a meme.
Get a ruling.
So there was a meme that came out. I know, and you know me, not ever getting any of the memes. But there was a meme that came out last night, and it really did just come out last night, that said something about you need your emotional support Canadian. You know, Americans, you'll be assigned your emotional support Canadian. But I'm going to be honest with you. I've had 2 emotional support Canadians, and I mean this from the absolute bottom of my heart. 2 of them. I'm not sure they're listening right now, but I know they will listen eventually. And they've been honestly really good friends to me through the COVID, through everything, through the pandemic, through the podcast. They've been good friends, and just in general, good friends. So I really do need to shout out to people who happen to be from the great state of Canada, who have also been emotional support Canadians to me.
Yeah. Eh?
So I'm definitely calling out Cinnamon and Sweet, and I just feel like you can't call one out without calling the other one out.
I agree.
I felt like it would be really wrong. So that's and I have like a little mini baby, literal baby shout out because I need to shout out Man Cub because Man Cub makes Mama's heart as well. Every single week, day, whenever I can see a picture. Anyway, so I just need to do a little baby shout out to Man Cub, but I did want to shout out to my 2 Canadian supports.
Cinnamon and Sweet. Now, that is all. I could not agree with you more.
Canadians.
They have for the channel. And first of all, one thing, Man Cub is the child of Din, who we got to shout out last week. So Man Cub actually tunes in every single week and watches.
Man Cub is always here, and it makes my heart so
And
happy.
He wakes up to see it. He was napping, and now he's awake. But yeah, I 100% agree with Cinnamon and Sweet. They go hand in hand. They were very integral in this channel, even
also way before
being
any of this was happening, and on a daily basis. Both of them are just honestly just dear to my heart, and probably should have been shouted out earlier because I love them both very much, and they're really good friends of mine. And so anyway, Cinnamon Sweet. My emotional support Canadians.
And that is on Twitch. That is Sweet Lord Regis and Cinemonster 101. They have schedules. They're streaming all the time. Sweet streams pretty regularly. Cinnamon is getting up to speed with his streams. But yeah, they are wonderful Canadians. So we love you guys, and it's a great shout out. And we love little man cub too.
Friends. Yeah, and I just couldn't pick one of the other. So.
And I would like to note for production that was 3. I only got 1, so I deserve 3 next week. I just want to make that statement.
You do. You can do 3 next week.
All right.
I broke every rule of production. Anyway.
So cheers to Cinnamon, Sweet, our little baby man cub, and Frost out there. Cheers, guys.
I'm so sorry I did an extra, but he's just so cute.
We got a picture right when we started of the little guy putting Den's arm to sleep, and it was wonderful.
And Mama's heart just pounding. So, love babies.
So with that said, let's get into our always first topic of the week. We always go over wins and losses, the W's and the L's. I think it's important for you to also take the time, examine your past week, past 2 weeks, whatever it may be. Understand that there are things that go really right, and there are things that sometimes go wrong or that you can do different. And look, and sometimes you just got to take an L and move on with life. Our wins and losses will not be election based. We are just going to make that as a blanket statement. The election thing is gone.
We don't even know yet.
Yeah.
There's no answers.
So, and I think in production, I was told I have to start this week. So, but what would you like to start with? The wins or the losses? I'm going to let you pick a win. The wins or the losses go first this week?
Let's pick the wins this week.
The wins are going first this week.
Positive.
Okay, awesome. So I have 2, and I have 2 because one of ours I know is similar, or maybe exactly the same. So
identical.
The first W for the week is we have begun a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. We are doing this campaign Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. Central on the Boom Kings Twitch channel. This is the first real time that I've ever really done a D&D campaign. I had a college roommate that was into some of the stuff before and had played around, but it wasn't really serious about it, and may or may not have been completely focused on the game at the time. But every Saturday we do this. Oh, I should say three out of 4 Saturdays of the month. This Saturday we are not playing, but the following Saturday we will. Yeah,
I'm actually seriously heartbroken I'm not playing.
I am too. I'm kind of ready.
I needed it this week. So it's not Boom's fault, by the way. But
not at all. So I was kind of nervous because the Boom King I knew was super detailed into creating this story and this world and this environment, and he worked a lot of hours putting stuff together, and I purposely didn't want to watch a lot of it. And I thought, oh, geez, am I going to be just in over my head and I'm not going to know what to do because he's super good at what he does?
I literally texted you, I want to say 30 minutes before. I was like, oh, my God, I'm going to be an absolute disaster. I haven't played in 2 years, and I just feel like I'm inept in every possible way. So, yes. So I felt that.
Yeah, totally agree. I was nervous going into it. I had bought the dice and everything. I'm like, man, we had done our character creation on his stream, and that was a lot of fun. But now we had to bring these characters to life. And I have to say, it went so fantastic. I do want to shout out Ty the Rogue and Boom Slang Gaming X, who are also part of our party. They were wonderful to play with, as well as yourself. And it was so much more fun than I could have ever expected it to be. There are so many things, memorable moments that happened just in that first session.
Honestly, was one of the funniest 3 hours I've spent since the pandemic, so that's a good thing. I laughed nonstop for 3 hours, so that's great.
The running joke of the week, there was 2 running jokes, and one of them was Amy went to fire a musket at some goblins, and something happened.
I crit.
Yeah, go ahead.
I crit. Well, I rolled a bad roll.
She may have rolled a 1.
I rolled a 1. So I had a musket as my weapon, and I shot one of my own party members in the back. Sorry, Ty the Rogue.
She shot Ty the Rogue in the back.
Yeah, so my dear friend in real life, in terms of our Twitch world and our community, but also my party member whose name is Gray in our party, I shot him in the back and killed him almost.
Almost.
But luckily I have magic. But I healed him immediately because I'm magical. because of course I am.
And we,
So
and we had
anyway,
another
I was like,
hilarious,
oops,
yeah,
magic.
sorry. And I was dying. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is how Ty gets yeeted out of the game. His own party member shoots him in
He
the
gets
back.
like 1 hour, and that's all he gets ever to play D&D with me. No, I knew I had this magic in my back pocket, which was good. But anyway, yeah. So I rolled a 1, which I do believe. I think that's like, I think you call that a crit or something. Chat can confirm that, right? When you just roll a really bad roll, like you roll a 1 and it just sucks. And anyway,
That is, yeah. So that, yeah, that was,
I feel
that
like
was
that could be
hilarious.
my WNL altogether.
And we did have another moment that you really need to go check out the VOD on the Boom Kings channel, where we have Boomslang Gaming X as a turtle, and
So funny.
he went to, we couldn't put out a fire. We needed to pick up a dagger, and we couldn't put out the fire. So he said, "What if I urinate on it?" And then we went to a Google search and learned that turtles urinate through their mouth. So this is right off the bat. We have people shooting other party members, turtles urinating out of their mouth onto flaming daggers. I mean, who would have thought this would have come out of this session? But excited about it. It was a huge W. I was on the fence
Nerdy good
about
one.
even playing at all, but I kind of trusted Boom King would really create an awesome environment, and shout out to him. Our party is great. We have great interaction. I love everybody in the party, but Boom King really putting it together is fantastic. And I know Den and some other people in his chat helped him put all that together.
Yeah, Den and
Yeah.
multiple other people are super important.
Yeah, the others,
Honestly, was 3 of the best hours of my last
it really
6
was.
months. I'm not even kidding. And it didn't even involve alcohol or anything. So yay.
It really
I might
was.
have had
And then later that night, the other partial W for me was it was Halloween night. There were a ton of Halloween streams that are out there. People look great. Shout out to a lot of those who dressed up.
Oh my
It was
gosh,
a lot of fun.
Deej, amazing
Yeah.
costumes out there.
DJ Dovla was Dovlita, which was
Oh my God,
amazing.
Dovlina.
Dovlina.
It's Dovlina.
Dovlina. That's what it was.
The absolutely gorgeous Dovlina.
Kelly Starfall did a whole different kind of wig
Kelly.
and looked fantastic. So you guys did great. It was
Kelly's
a lot of
always
fun.
beautiful. Stop.
We decided to do something a little different for our stream, and we actually went back into the Jackbox well. And instead of doing TKO and Quiplash and a lot of the stuff that we had played previously, we switched it up and went trivia based. Trivia Murder Party, Guespionage, a lot of this game. And it was a really fun few hours.
So much fun.
Yeah.
It was really super fun.
Yeah, so that I saw that as a W, and it made me want to return to the Jackbox world again and kind of go down, stay in that route where we could just have some fun without drawing a lot of the same images that we're starting to draw all the time on our T-shirts. So I took that as a W. So I don't know with your W's if you had anything else to elaborate on, or if I just totally stole your D&D thunder.
No, honestly, I feel like I've kind of talked through all yours anyway. I kind of stole your thunder a little bit. I loved D&D, and I was really nervous because D&D is not completely in my comfort zone.
Yeah.
As is pretty much nothing on Twitch or in gaming world. So here I am, always stepping out of my comfort zone as old mama. But I have played before. My kids are really big into D&D, so I did a few campaigns with them, so I had a little bit of experience with it. But they literally held my hand like, this is what this dice looks like, Mom. Now I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to know exactly what the dice. Like, I had little printouts. I had all my spells printed out. I had this whole like war room around me that nobody could see, because I'm like, I'm not going to be an idiot. I'm going to know what I'm doing. But I felt like I stepped out of my comfort zone a bit, and I really enjoyed the gaming aspect of the entire thing. And I felt incredibly... I'm sorry, my cats again.
Can't hear them.
You guys can't hear my cat. I felt incredibly, I don't know, liberated. It was fun. It was a fun, very lighthearted. It wasn't this like super edgy D&D where I didn't know what I was supposed to do in every moment, that somebody was going to like, smack me down and make me feel stupid.
Yep.
Which I know can happen. And that was not what this was. It was just fun. And I think, and I mean, I'm not trying to like pump up me being on any stream or anything, because obviously that's not my deal, but I just think it was entertaining for maybe the people that were there at certain moments. It was funny, and I think we just had a really good time. So So maybe I guess my win is I stepped outside of my comfort zone because I
Yeah.
wasn't going to do it at first, but my
Yep.
schedule changed. And then I felt like maybe that was something I should do because I don't have a lot going on in my life right now. COVID. So I thought, oh, what a fun thing to do on a Saturday after my schedule changed and I don't have to work as late as I thought.
Hmm.
So this is where I was. And I stepped out of that comfort zone and I felt that it was a W for me because I wasn't as abysmal as I thought I would be at it.
Yeah, no,
So
you were great. I think everybody was great. And to anybody who does listen via the podcast and doesn't watch any of the videos on Twitch, we were live on a Twitch channel. So all 5 faces were front and center doing this thing
yeah.
live
And
for anyone to see.
it was a little stressful because I'm not an actress. It's not what I do. And I I felt like you should create a character and then I decided I was going to do a voice, which was really uncomfortable because it's not my wheelhouse at all.
But it was
And I
perfect.
did a little voice.
Hmm.
It was, yeah. So anyway, it is what it is. So
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Good W.
yeah, super fun.
All right. So switching over to the L's of the week. My L, people have a lot of issues in their lives, and there are struggling people that have a lot of things going wrong, and they're struggling to make rent, and they're out of jobs. And my apologies to those people for saying my L of the week is what it is, but it is what it is. All right. So I bought a different kind of bread at the store. I went to Publix, and if anybody wants to know, I like to have sandwiches for lunch. Sandwich is a good thing to have for lunch. A lot of times my schedule's a little wonky through lunch. And so there's impromptu calls and stuff that happen throughout my day where if I can just grab a sandwich really quick, it's the easiest thing for me to do. So, a little turkey swish, you got to dump oregano on there. You always cut it diagonally, by the way, which is a whole nother conversation. But what I did was I'm in the store and I have my go-to bread. I have my go-to honey wheat bread by one Pepperidge Farm company that does it just perfectly. I know what I want, and it wasn't there. So now I had to switch it up. And I remembered that I'm normally a wheat guy. I go down the wheat route, but the wheat that they have has a whole bunch of grain on it, and I don't like tons of the grain. Give me the natural wheat, but not with a ton of complexity in the bread itself. So now I'm posed with, now what do? I can't leave without getting bread for the sandwiches. I can't, and I like my bread a little wider for the sandwiches. It can't be just normal bread size stuff. You've got to have a wider pallets for the turkey to lay on and for me to paint the oregano masterpiece that I'm about to do diagonally. So there was another couple that was there, and I was influenced. I was a little peer pressure from the other couple. They walked in, and they said, oh, yeah, just grab the sourdough. I love the sourdough. And so they grabbed the sourdough bread, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, the sourdough bread, there's a lot of it is gone, and there's only like 1 or 2 loaves left. It must be really good. Can't remember the last time I had sourdough bread, but maybe that sourdough bread is really good. So then I get back home. Next day, have my sandwich, and I realized that sourdough bread is probably the worst selection you could make for a turkey and Swiss sandwich. You can't toast it properly. It doesn't cut right. It just doesn't taste good. And yeah, no. So sourdough, there's a whole loaf. If anybody would like some sourdough bread, let me know. I can mail it to you. You probably have like 3 days left where it's going to be good before it goes bad.
Or like football, throw it to you out his window if you're in the Nashville vicinity.
Yes, yeah. Any Nashville people, I will yeet it over the balcony and it is all yours. Or maybe it'll go to I'm not even going to give it to the birds. It's that awful.
I will talk. Wait, so you bought a pre-packaged, not a fresh-baked sourdough? It's not like you didn't go to a bakery and bought sourdough. You just bought
it was prepackaged.
Arnold sourdough.
Because it wasn't Arnold's, but it was another brand of sourdough. But I have a whole I have a whole bakery thing too, because I have like a bakery brioche bun. It's great for like the first 2 bites, and then it collapses. It's really nice, but then it kind of collapses.
Wait, I feel like you're making a whole mess of this conversation. So we need to talk about sourdough. Sourdough for sourdough's sake. There's only a few things you want to do with sourdough. And it should be fresh baked. It should have a crust on it. And you use it for basically clam chowder. It's pretty much all it's good for.
Something I have never made in my life before, ever. But duly noted, I think it would go great with clam chowder.
But if you buy the freshly baked sourdough and you lop off the top
Not
and
the
you put
bowl.
your
Not.
clam chowder
Oh,
inside after you
okay.
scoop out
Okay.
the insides.
Yeah, yeah.
That is a San Francisco delight, is what I'm talking about
No,
right now. But
that
anyway.
makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. Yeah, but don't. Then why even have the prepackaged
But
stuff? It
why are
shouldn't
you
even be an
buying a
option.
sourdough?
I don't know. I don't
Like,
know what I was thinking. Other
those
people were
people
doing
did
it.
not know what they were talking
I
about.
couldn't
Just
make a
if you
decision.
see those people in the store, you just smack them next time. They're
I know
ignorant.
what not to
They
get
ignorant.
now. Yeah. Now I've got to freaking figure out what to do with the bread situation. So anyway, that was my L for the week. I bought the wrong bread. And then I had to go back to the
Sourdough.
store again to buy more bread, and ended up going to a closer place because I couldn't go the 1.9 miles down to the store I normally go to. So I went the 1 mile to the closer one, and they didn't have all the right. It's a disaster. Sandwiches were a disaster this week. So anyway,
Bad sandwich stitch.
that was my L for the week. What was yours?
Well, yours is very complicated. Mine was very social. Yours was very food based. Mine was very social based. So, I mean, I don't know if everyone's aware that's listening to the podcast, but we're in a pandemic. We're in a pandemic.
Ooh.
And I had probably the first time I would think of the entire pandemic where I had a social dilemma.
Uh-oh.
Well, I've had multiple social dilemmas, but I've had actually so one of my very, very, very good friends locally is deciding to throw herself a party because it's her birthday, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And she wants everybody to go and sit inside in a restaurant and celebrate her birthday. And she's a really good friend. So I don't want to be judging her on her decision.
Right.
It was just my decision to not feel comfortable going inside a restaurant. So for the last few days, I had to really steel myself to say I can't go and I can't be there. I mean, I didn't do anything on Halloween. Literally, I shouldn't say I didn't do anything. We had fun.
You played D&D and you played Jackbox.
We played D&D and we played Jackbox. But there were parties I was invited to, and I chose not to go. And there were events happening, and I chose not to go. But this is really personal because it's one of my closest friends in the world, and it's happening in a few days, and I had to basically today tell her I just can't do it because I work with people who are in a risk population. Our numbers here in the Northeast are getting really bad. Our hospitalizations, that's a big word, are getting really bad. And so I felt it doesn't make sense for me to go out and do some kind of social thing I don't know. Anyway, it's been really hard. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to say no to a friend who I'm sure is very hurt.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me who likes to go out, and that's hard. I've been trying to make all the right decisions because I do work with people who are at risk. I work with cancer survivors and people going through cancer treatment, and I want to see my parents. Imagine that. So anyway, I just feel like that's a big L because it's nobody's fault, and I don't blame anybody. It's nobody's problem. It's just sad. It's really sad. And I'm a very social creature, and I'm trying to be responsible. So I know what's going to happen is I'm going to see all the pictures of everybody being out, like I did on Halloween, like I do over and over again. And here I sit. But I really feel like I know I'm doing the right thing. It's just really hard. It's kind of a bit of an L, but maybe with a little W.
Yeah, I think it's a little W. I think the L,
like a little mayo on the side.
Yeah, the L just might be effects of the pandemic. But like you, I also would balk at going to any indoor events, any indoor parties. I haven't even gone to a restaurant. Normally, I would like to go and sit at a bar at the restaurant and just have a meal out every once in a while. And I haven't done that because I don't want it. I don't want COVID. It's not that important to me. And I know that party was important.
And I do mean this. Like, I'm just going to tell everybody. I'm going to share a quick little story. And this is just anybody. I don't know how many people are listening, and hopefully whoever listens here is this. This isn't about old people. This isn't about semi-old people like me. This isn't even about young people. This is about the youngest people. So I happen to know of a person who was pregnant, young, super fit, healthy, amazing. visited her, spent like the afternoon with her mother because she's pregnant. Of course, you want to see your mom. The mom the next day came down with COVID symptoms. The mom got COVID. The mom's okay, by the way. The person I know came down with COVID symptoms. Very mild, but she was pregnant. And she was, 32 weeks, whatever that is. And within a couple of days, she couldn't feel the baby moving. So she went to our doctor just to double check. And they had to do an emergency C-section because the baby was in distress. And what happened was the baby got COVID. She had no really mild symptoms. She had sniffles, basically, not even fever. The baby got COVID. The baby got taken very early, so super premature. It was a healthy pregnancy all the way through. The baby's had multiple blood transfusions.
Oh, man.
Multiple. The baby's going to be okay, FYI. So we're just going to put that out there. The mom's okay. The baby's okay.
Good.
But they could not even see their infant. They could only look through a glass wall. They couldn't barely see her for a week until both parents were fully tested negative. So basically they couldn't even be near their child who was in distress.
Yeah.
And the baby is now COVID free, but the baby went through a lot. I mean, we're talking for a small child. I mean, this baby's a fighter, by the way, an incredible fighter. But the baby's going to be okay, but still premature. But now the parents can see the baby. But here's the deal. Like, this was a healthy couple, like marathon runners, Pilates instructors, the most fit of the fit, got COVID. And the deal was the babies are not going to not have impact.
Right.
Children are not going to have impact. Young people aren't not going to have impact. So make really, really good decision. If that means like hanging out playing D&D with us or playing Jackbox with us because you're making the choice not to go out to a bar or not to go out to a restaurant if you're in a state that's allowed, or having to say no to one of your best friends who's probably very upset with me right now. But because I know it's the right thing for the people I work with who are going through chemotherapy, who I can't put at risk. This is what we're talking about. So my L, I'm going to turn into a W as you guys make good decisions, because it really does matter. It really does matter. Anyway, that was my.
No, that's great. And I think it's important. And that's what I think what people don't understand is I'm a, you know, whatever. It could be anybody. I'm a 23-year-old active kid with no play. Look at the football players who are playing football. Those guys are healthy as heck, and they're coming down with it. And now they're having 1 in 7 college football players is having heart disease now. Yeah, it's crazy. So
yeah, and if a little tiny baby who's in the womb is needing multiple transfusions, blood transfusions, just to stay alive because their mother had COVID. We just don't understand this disease enough that it's not worth any risk. And I love you guys. And I know all the people I know everybody that's listening to this right now is being really wise, but it's just a reminder to maybe spread that word a little bit, because I don't think that everybody's on the same page. So
yeah.
So it's an L because it's really sad, but it's a W because I have the fortitude. I don't know. You know, it's hard to not be with your friends. It's really hard. And it's hard when you know people are thinking poorly of you and are judging you for thinking you're being overly cautious or what. But it's the people I encounter every day that matter to me more than my friends right now, because I can't be spreading this to people unwittingly. So there we go.
And if your best friend, she might be hurt initially, but hopefully would understand that and say
she's a good person. It's more just, I'm sure. I'm not judging. It's just, it is what it is. These are very difficult times. We have very difficult decisions to make. Just, know that you have support from us and any decisions you guys make. And if you ever need someone to hang out with virtually, we are here for you.
Let us know. Yeah. Because it's important. We're coming into the holiday season with the family gatherings and stuff, and things are going to be altered.
It's going to be rough. Things are going to be a little rough. Yeah. I agree.
Anyway, excellent. Yeah. We'll move on. That's great. And like you said, I think you turned the L into a W, but it's a great announcement for everyone out there. So what we wanted to do this week was try to figure out a topic that was something that we haven't talked about before, and maybe be a complete diversion from everything else that's going on in the world. And we have a little announcement towards the end of this. But what we want to talk about this week, books. We've all done Netflix shows. We've seen every Netflix show that's out there. We've seen every Amazon show out there. We've canceled HBO because we've seen all of those shows. And now we're okay. Well, I guess I go back and watch all The Office for the 600,000th time, which is a fantastic show. But we said let's go talk about some of our favorite books. And what's funny is when we decided to do this topic, we were going to say let's pick our 3 top favorite books that we've read. And just kind of just put them out there and just discuss them briefly. And if you guys want to check it out, it would be great for you to go check out. Maybe you hear something that you've never read before, or you want a recommendation, or you're sitting there going, you know what? I haven't read a book in 10 years. Now's a great time to do it because I've exhausted everything else. So the funny thing is we were going to go with 3, and we now have 10. So we'll get through the list fairly quickly because we have so many great ones that we wanted to go over really quick. And like I said, we'll do a little announcement.
It's not 10 each, just to be fair.
Yeah, it's a combined list of 10 with a couple individuals and some group ones that we selected together.
Group ones.
These are in no particular order.
None whatsoever.
But I feel like we're starting with some of our favorites, like bigger names that are out there.
Okay.
So I have the list. So I guess I'll go through.
You're running through the list, and we'll talk about it. Jointly.
So when you ask me, okay, what is your favorite book? There's one answer I will immediately say every single time, and it's The Shadow of the Wind. It's by Carlos Ruiz Zafón, and reading the book was. I can't describe reading the book. It puts you in a time and a place in Barcelona. Which made me immediately want to go to Barcelona and go walk around and tour. I don't want to say,
a brilliant book.
Yeah, it's a brilliant book, and I think you read it too, and I think it's easily on your top couple lists as well.
One of my top 2-3 books ever. Yeah, love it.
And it is actually, I didn't know this. It is one of the best-selling books of all time. I had no idea that it was on that list.
And I think it's important to note that it's been translated into English. It was written in Spanish, I do believe. So, I mean, the translation was beautifully done, which isn't always the case. It can be really hard, but honestly, such a gorgeous book in every possible way. And
it's one, and I want to preface this list too with, I am not one who's into what I would call difficult books. I can get bored super easily with a book. It has to be easily digestible. I can't read Shakespeare, and like I'm bored with a lot of, and there's people out there, popular authors, who just create these massive environments that go on forever, and I'll yeet out of it very quickly. So this list contains, at least from my perspective, a lot of books
it's definitely more pop culture reading.
Yeah, it's pop culture, but it's so well written and just
but still
takes
really high
you
quality.
into the middle of Barcelona. It's crazy.
We're not talking about your degreeing the classics kind of.
Yeah, and so super quick. I won't go into the whole thing, but really, it's a book about a book, and it's a young kid and a father who live above a bookstore. The kid goes down, finds a book that's in the store. He realizes that it is the last copy of a book that was written by this author. And so the kid kind of goes on a quest to find this author, or why that was the last copy of the book ever made.
It's like mildly supernatural and mildly gothic and mildly mystery. It just has so many great elements and historic. I do feel, and it paints a picture of Barcelona that will stick with me forever. I think I'll forever love Barcelona from reading this book.
Yeah,
it's really and truly, and the follow-up book, not quite as good, was still brilliant. It would just be hard to follow it up.
Yeah, the follow-up was a prequel, but again, the meat and potatoes was Shadow of the Wind. Yeah. But Shadow of the Wind, and I don't want to go into too much more about what the book is about.
Yeah, we don't want to give anything away because I highly recommend it. I actually think it would be my number one book to recommend to people.
Yeah, because chances are they haven't read it, and I would recommend. I know a lot of places I don't know if Amazon does. A lot of times you can read like the first few pages of the book. I would encourage
Mhm.
anyone to go out there and just read it, and I think you'll be sucked in right away,
Oh, I
just based on
agree.
the writing style. It's sensational,
Hmm.
it's, mind blown.
It's phenomenal. Wonderful book. Wonderful author. Can't go wrong.
All
All
right,
right.
moving on to number two. Number
We need to
two.
roll through these or we're going to be here all night.
Number two. So this
Number
one,
two.
more very way more prolific author out there. Stephen King has written a bazillion books.
Yeah.
The book that we want to highlight from Stephen King, I've been a long time Stephen King reader from the get go. He was the first one in school that I kind of identified with because I thought he's the kind of the popular guy, and I
Hmm.
liked his stories. He can though. Yeah, I think there is an acquired taste for his writing though, because you have
Hmm.
to be able to like what he's writing and then understand that at some point in time it's going to turn the enemy is going to turn into like a spider from outer space, and it's going to like shift through time and do all these crazy things, and you just kind of have to
Yes.
go with it. So the book on the list though is
Love him though.
11/22/63, which is probably, I think it's one of the most straightforward books that he's written. It has a time
Hmm.
travel aspect in it, only to the fact where there is a person who finds a portal. He's whisked back into 1963.
And can he stop?
Can he stop Lee Harvey Oswald from assassinating Kennedy? But that's
Yeah.
not how it
Brilliant.
originally starts. He doesn't even, he gets whisked back into this time
So
period.
good.
It's amazing. And
Such a good
he
book.
starts having a relationship with a female. And through the relationship with the female, finds out that one
It's
of the people
so
in the
cool.
book is Lee Harvey Oswald. So he had had a relation, he had encounters with Lee Harvey Oswald. Then he figures out who it is, and now he's got to
Brilliant.
figure out what he needs to do to either
It's
stop it or not stop
honestly
it.
in terms of in terms of how this book was created, it shows the brilliance of Stephen. And Stephen King is a brilliant mind. Whether you like
Yeah,
that everything becomes supernatural or not, or however you look at anything, if Stephen King's mind should be studied by science in the future because he is incredibly creative. He's incredibly outside the box. He's a genius. He will, I do believe, in future generations be studied as a great author. I know that people
yeah,
will laugh at me for saying that, but I really do mean that because his mind works in a way that other people's minds do not work.
right.
Also, I love him. And Stephen, if you ever listen to this podcast, I would love to have a beer with you. But just because I think he's an incredibly interesting person, I would love to know where his inspirations and his mind comes from because I just
Yeah,
can't fathom it. But this this particular novel, and I agree with you 100%. And it's funny because we sat down in production meeting today and started talking about books, and 90% of the books we were on the same page, and we were like,
yep,
crap, because we wrote down books prior coming in and we were talking about the same books. So here we go. You know, one of the best written, and anybody I loaned this book to read it and came back to me and said, I can't even believe I didn't even know about this book. It's so fascinating. It's so historically accurate.
mm-hmm.
It's so brilliantly creative. Anyway, can't say enough good things about it. It would be my number two book, probably on par with Luis's book. I just,
Yeah,
I don't
Shadow
even
Wind.
know if I
Yep.
could pick. I would say Shadows of the Wind and this one are probably so neck and neck as two of my favorite books of all time.
Yeah,
Anyway.
yeah. I'm totally with you, and not to just keep going on about it, but the fascinating thing about this book is, yeah, you want this story to be resolved about Lee Harvey Oswald and what happened,
Hmm.
but the heart of the story is a love story because he falls in love with someone in this time period, and it's the resolution of that story and how that story wraps up and ends, and it's amazing.
And it's a really interesting, I agree with you. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think it's an interesting picture. It paints a picture of a specific time period in American history, and also it paints a picture of, and I mean history in terms of just the everyday person, not
Yeah,
just JFK and that world. And it paints a picture of the historical aspect of that time period, but it also just paints this real emotional, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's very layered, and when you talk about whiskey, or you talk about wine, or you're talking about books, or you're talking about music, when something's got these multiple layers like that, it's absolutely fabulous. And that has it. And it exactly exudes that. And that's what anyway, I
Yep.
appreciate that you were mentioning that.
And I know it was turned into a series or something out there. I purposely won't watch it because
Me
I
either.
have my connection with the book, and it'll stay that way. You can't make a movie or a series about it and get
Yeah.
what was there.
I don't think you could emotionally connect to it in the
There's no
same way
way.
that I
Yeah.
did. Yeah. Great. I agree. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so speaking of history and historically accurate and a little bit different kind of
So these
story.
first three books, we're still back neck and neck. We picked the same books over and over. And I know that sounds really crazy, but this is honestly 100% true. There are a few that we diverged, but again, here we go.
Yeah, the top three were the top three. And again, these are in no order, but number three on the list,
Number 3.
Eric Larson, Devil in the White City is incredible. And this is one that I'm actually looking forward to the movie coming out, only because the book was so fantastic. If you want, and I, I'm not someone who seeks out historical information. If you told me, hey, here's a historical book on Chicago in 1893, I would say, thanks, yeet. And there's no way I'm reading it.
Thank you.
You
Okay.
give me this book that ties in the World's Fair at that time, along with the story of a serial killer who has traveled to Chicago to murder people. He sets up this whole maze contraption above this
all true.
pharmacy. It's all
all true.
true. It's all true. So every chapter alternates between the serial killer and what he's setting up, and how the World's Fair came together, and the
History of the
inventions,
world.
the
Right.
history of the world, the inventions
Which,
that come
by
out
the
of this
way,
book. Holy
yeah,
smokes!
we're not going to give anything away, and it's not, I think, spoiler alert, but I host trivia. I hosted an entire category of trivia on this particular World's Fair because there's so many inventions that were created, or at least presented during this World's Fair. So it's really interesting because you get all of those backstories. It's almost like a true crime drama where you get all of the backstory and also the true crime as part of this amazing story that almost feels too crazy to be true, and it's so true.
And it's true,
Right?
Yeah.
It's really crazy, but it's super true.
and it's a different time period. You've got people traveling by train to go to this World's Fair. Who it's not 2020. You can't just get on a plane and go there.
No, you
It's
got to get there.
everything is bare bones. It's just incredible. And like I said, the
And
the
nobody knows who's
inventions,
there. Yeah.
the top
Oh
10.
my God.
If you do nothing else, if you don't want to read the book and you just Google the top 10 inventions that came from the 1893 World's Fair, you'll be shocked at what came up. But it's really cool to kind of see it develop and why it was there within the book.
Honestly,
So,
don't even look it up. Go read the book because
Yeah,
it's
just go
not
read the book.
long. It's a quick, easy read, and by the way, Eric Larson, can we just
yes,
say,
yes.
is a prolific writer. He has an uncanny ability to write books about factual times in history and make them seem like you're reading the most fictional thing you've ever read. So his ability to meld the facts and make them so dramatic but yet not stray from the truth is just beyond brilliant. He's the master at this. There's nobody that's better at this than him. He has several books. Black Wave, multiple other ones, and I think I have several on my kind of docket of what I'm going to read next from him. But he's the absolute best at what he does. There's nobody better. Anyway,
Yeah,
my opinion.
yeah, absolutely fantastic. And I'm like you. I want to read more of his books. Just I don't know why we haven't yet, but definitely on the list of books that we're going to read in the future. And it is
sure.
going to be. I think Leonardo DiCaprio, I think, is starring in the movie, and he will make
He
the
is.
perfect character
Well,
for
yes,
the serial killer in the book.
sure.
So
Yeah, I think they've cast the movie very well. So I'm excited for it.
I'm adjusting on the fly because I want to stay with history. And so Eric Larson writes historically accurate tales, and he'll even have notes in the back of the book to tell you where he got all the information and how it's historically accurate. So there's another author out there who takes history and spins it just a little bit, and that is Louise Bayard. And Bayard wrote a book called Pale Blue Eye, which was an incredible tale at West Point. Basically, there's a murder that happens at West Point. There's a body that's hanging from a tree who this young detective
fabulous book.
starts investigating. Come to find out, the room where the body was kept, somebody went in and took the heart out. Anyway, he encounters another young detective at West Point at the time, and the other detective is actually Edgar Allan Poe. And so the story, actually,
yeah. So all of that is actually true.
Yeah. Then he takes it and fictionalizes.
Poe went to West Point, and then he takes it from there. So there's fact woven into the historic part. So I had to throw that in there. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And so it's this adventure of Edgar Allan Poe. And the book has little influences of Edgar Allan Poe's writing within it.
So
and it's so cool.
Good.
Yeah.
I'd loaned that book to somebody and I never got it back.
Oh,
because it was that good. They probably loaned it to people. It's probably, you know what? I hope that it's just been passed throughout the world, because do I need it again? No. That's how good it was that I loaned it to a person. They loaned it to a person, and people. It's not a very well known novel, but it's so well written, and it's so beautifully written, and it's so fascinating, and there's so much truth to it, which is amazing. Anyway, if you love Edgar Allan Poe and you love Gothic lit, definitely read this one.
And it is a murder mystery entwined in the whole thing that will literally keep you guessing until the last couple pages. Yeah, it is. I know,
weirdly, that we both read all these, but it's so good. It's so good. It's funny. We're just like back to back. We got to diverge somewhere. Yeah? No?
Yeah, let's do a diversion. All right. So
we'll do a diversion.
First diversion of the night. So we whipped through kind of our top four there. So I want to shout out one of my favorite authors out there who I don't think you read a lot and or may not have ever read. And this guy is not everyone's cup of tea at all. Most people don't even know how to pronounce his last name. But Chuck Palahniuk, that's how you pronounce the last name. Chuck Palahniuk, he's best known as the author of Fight Club. And I think most people saw the movie Fight Club, probably never read the book Fight Club. Fight Club was my introduction into Chuck Palahniuk because I loved that movie so much. I knew that he had written a book. And what I did was I actually bought that book and a couple others at the same time, but I chose not to read Fight Club first because I already knew the story. So I went and read a couple others and instantly became hooked on the writing style of Chuck. He is right up my alley in terms of dark comedy, putting characters in crazy situations and then making comments about life and current situations that when I read his books are short. But every time I read his book,
easy to read, yeah.
They're easy to read, but I'll read and I'll read a paragraph and then I'll stop and go back and read what he said because I'll be like, oh my gosh, he just made such a brilliant fact about life.
You're like highlighting it, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I really loved reading his book. My favorite book by him, if you want to go out and check one, it's called Choke. And I kind of laugh and hesitate because...
Pretty racy.
It's a little racy because what it is, and a really quick synopsis, I'm like, let me look it up just to make sure I don't say anything I shouldn't say. The TLDR is he's a medical school dropout who is addicted to sex, who attends addicted to sex meetings so that he can hook up with other people. While at the same time, he finds out that his mother is a victim of Alzheimer's disease, and she has a bill of $3,000 a month. So he's trying to find a way to pay to help his mom out with Alzheimer's. So his idea behind what he can do. Oh, by the way, his job, he's a Civil War reenactment. So he goes to the Civil War camps and he reenact. And oh yeah, he tries to pick up people there too. But his what he does is he goes into restaurants and he pretends to choke on his food, and then people will give him the Heimlich, and then he'll make a connection with those people, and he'll kind of like Hallmark card get them into a situation where they feel like helping him out because they feel like they're the ones that saved his life. So that is the dark, twisted universe of what a character can be in a Chuck Palahniuk book. But the book is hilarious. It's racy. It's out there. It's not for everyone. But if you have any curiosity at all about that, I guarantee you'll love the book. It's hilarious. I won't spend any more time going on about it because I know you haven't read them.
I think he's absolutely brilliant. I do concede to his brilliance. It's a lot for me.
Yeah.
I've read a couple of his books. I feel it's a little too much for but I'm really wimpy. I get scared at phasmophobia. I get scared at horror movies. It's probably I'm definitely like the most wimpy human being on the planet in terms of my you know what I mean? Like it's probably a little too much. I appreciate it, but it's definitely edgy. I would say edgy's great. I know both my kids are huge Fight Club fans, book and movie, and probably have read other books. So my kids are way cooler than me. You're way cooler than me.
No. I think it's just an acquired taste, I think. And if there's ever one that you wanted to read to say, hey, I want to try to get into him without the craziness, there's one called Invisible Monsters.
Yes,
but it's dark. It'll make you sit and reflect on what life is. Like you'll put down the book, going, okay, we're all just a pile of ashes waiting to die, basically. So
yeah, that one's one of those sort of philosophical. A little too much. I don't need all that reality.
Anyway, but that he's on my top list. I thoroughly enjoy his books. And he does have some lighthearted, just crazy ones too. But the Choke is definitely my favorite.
He's brilliant. Yeah. There's no question. He's brilliant. I'm just saying, if you're super soft like me, there you go.
All right. So what about you? We'll switch over to you. Have a pick that I have never read.
I do. I just don't remember which one it was.
All the Light We Cannot See.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Because I know I read a bunch of books, but this is one of my favorite books of all time, actually. So All the Light We Cannot See, brief description. It is a World War II novel. It is a big novel. You need to invest time in it. It is worth every second you invest in it because it is definitely told from the perspective of children, and it's kind of like a weird way to put it, but it is told in the perspective of innocence being thrown into World War II. So what is it like to be in the mind of a child who have to make decisions based on desperation? They're literally children. Anyway, it's amazingly written. It is a bit of an epic. You have to invest some time into it. It's beautifully written. So All the Light We Cannot See, it tells the story of a young blind girl in France and a young orphan boy in Germany. And so you can just imagine where that's going. So I can't even tell anything more because it will give too much away. Beautiful, worth the time, worth the effort. Just absolutely heartbreaking and probably poignant and to some degree worth reading in these days that we're in right now. So I would highly recommend it.
I'm interested based on the description that you gave of the book. Yeah. It does sound super intriguing, especially in today's current times.
In today's current times, and I would say it really tells a tale of what happens when you're disenfranchised and how that can impact your choices in life, and what happens if you're we'll say technically capable, whether it's back then it might be doing radio transmissions, now it might be how are you used if you happen to be really good at IT, computers, hacking, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it really translates to modern times. I think it really translates. and also, resisting tyranny and being kind of in a position where you're really on your knees, and how do you survive. It's absolutely beautifully written. It is one of the top 10 books about World War II ever written,
Wow.
on multiple lists. And I mean it because it really touches the heart, the humanity of what it is to be in that situation. So cannot recommend it enough. So there we go.
Excellent. Well done.
Yeah.
I think for the next, there's two that kind of now are getting into this. I don't want to say love story, but are basically love stories that also have a little twist to them. The first one on the list, and I don't think we've seen. The ironic thing is, a lot of these have been turned into movies, and I don't think we've seen a single one of these movies. Because how could you? How could you? Anyway, the first one is The Time Traveler's Wife. That's probably a title that most people recognize. Audrey Niffenegger. And it's a story about two people. One of them has a medical condition that makes them travel back and forth through time. And it's the story of having that condition and how these two keep their connection. So it's a story of love and loss, and how do you cherish those moments when you do have the time to spend with that
Beautiful
person.
book.
It's
Beautiful book.
amazing book.
So good. Yeah. It sounds really mushy.
It does.
But
It's not mushy
really
at all. Yeah.
sci-fi mushy, and I don't know. I think it makes sense regardless of what your circumstances are. Anyway, I just think it's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. And another one that we'll mention, not as much time travel, but actually has a bit of history literally to it. There's one called The History of Love by Nicole Krauss, which we also thoroughly enjoyed. It takes place in two different time periods, but isn't about time travel. And it's the story about these couples, so to speak. And the present day, the person is kind of just waiting to die, and he's reflecting on the loves that he's had. And I don't want to give too much away about the story without giving the whole plot line away from the whole thing. So just know that it's not this mushy kind of love story, but it's a really almost in the same way that The Time Traveler's Wife. It's kind of a reflection on important moments and what would you do given certain situations and those people who are important around you.
Right. How do you resolve those relationships that are difficult? How do you resolve looking back on what you've chosen to do in your life? It's really awesome. Both of those are amazing in that respect. Yeah, beautifully done.
Yeah, and there's some of it's in Nazi Germany, and there's a child involved, and it's a great story that I don't want to give too much away.
I love that book. Some people find it a little too all over the place, jumpy, but I've always loved it, so I agree. Anyway, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We've got two more that we want to mention, very much in a different than what we've been discussing with the time travelers and the love stories. The first one is a series of books by an author named Lindsay Fay. She did a trio of books based in New York City of the time period of when the police force was just taking shape. They were called the coppers at the time. Imagine why we call police cops now, because of the coppers.
Copper stars.
And it is a fantastic story. The first book in the series is Gods of Gotham. And I think it was arguably the best one of the series. So if you don't do anything else, if you don't want to read all three and you just do one, Gods of Gotham is insanely good. New York City. It made me want to travel to the spots in New York City and...
We might have done that.
Oh yeah, we did that actually. We went to the places. There's a couple of bars that are still quote unquote there, and there's areas of New York City that have evolved over the time. But the streets and a lot of that historical information is accurate, but the story is entirely fictional. So the police force did come into prevalence at that time. a lot of the things that are going on in the city are accurate in the story, but the story is fictional. But it is a fantastic read on New York City. Much like Shadow of the Wind made me want to go to Barcelona, reading Gods of Gotham, I immediately wanted to go back to New York City and go waltz around some of these locations and places. And it's sensational. If you
love it.
I feel like
love
I'm
Lindsay
stealing
Faye.
all the
And
thunder.
she's amazing, by the way. She's very accessible on social media. She's out there and she's a wonderful human being. So, Lindsay Faye, we love you.
Lindsay Faye gave us a Christmas card, by the way, and thanked us for her support.
She did. And I think signed a book for us.
Yeah, we got a book signed and everything. Yeah, so
we're huge fans of her. She's just a brilliant writer, and the whole trilogy and everything she's done is great. So, can't say enough about Lindsay.
The last one that we want to mention for the night, really the author. We picked out a book because one of the books we read at the same time, and I think the other books we read kind of independently, but we've read them. His name is Nick Hornby, and you might know him best for a book or a movie called High Fidelity, which I think was turned into a show or something too. But anyway, we want to focus on a book called Juliet Naked. And it's essentially, if you like music and you want to read books, just go read Nick Hornby books because they're incredible.
Any Nick Hornby book.
I mean, any Nick Hornby book is great because this is a story about a girlfriend of a music fan, and she becomes obsessed with one of the artists that he's a fan of and finds out that an album is coming out and then wants to go try to meet the artist. And there's a lot of stuff that's kind of tangled in between the story as it evolves of music and their love for music and their love for this fictional artist that's out there.
Yeah. It's a really cool, fun, wild, easy little ride.
Yeah, it's not long. It's easy to get through.
Nick Hornby's an easy to read author.
And he's funny.
And he's hilarious. He paints an incredible picture in every single page. He's painting a picture of where you are. But his knowledge of the music industry is what makes him incredibly spectacular. And I think it almost makes you feel like a little bit of a rock star when you're reading it, because you kind of feel like you're there. You feel like you're part of that world. And he's just really brilliant at capturing that. Sorry. So yeah. I can't say enough good things about that one.
Yeah,
or High Fidelity.
Yeah, and he's easy to digest, easy to read. Yeah, High Fidelity, I think there was a show, but don't do the show. Read the book. Because if you like, High Fidelity is guys working in a London record store, and they just make their Desert Island disc with pop culture references. So let's make our Desert Island disc of our favorite science fiction movies. And then it ends up being relationships that they've had, and then it goes down this path. So anyway, Nick Hornby, but definitely check out Juliet Naked. I think it's not as popular.
Yeah, Juliet Naked was really brilliant. But all his books are brilliant. We're just picking that one because we read it. We both read it around the same time. So that's awesome.
And so tied into all this, we went over a lot of books. We will post a list of all of these books, both in the Discord, and we will post them in the show notes on all of the podcast networks that are out there. But we do want to take the time to invite you guys. We realized in talking about this and talking about books, it's not something that we normally talk about. It was kind of a different topic tonight. It was really fun to hash these out and revisit some of the memories. And we encourage you guys to tell us some of your favorite books. Put them in Discord. I've seen a few in chat on Twitch tonight that I'll go back and definitely make a note of. That could be cool to check out and read other people's recommendations. But we want to start a book club. So we're announcing that tonight. Scott and Amy, or Skojo, and Amy Beth's book club. Yeah, imagine that. It's kicking off tonight, and the first book that we want to read in the book club, it's called The Woman in the Window, and it's by A.J. Finn. Highly recommended by the author of Gone Girl, and it's kind of in that vein.
Book I love.
Oh, Gone Girl was awesome, and it's kind of in the same vein of the Hitchcock. Was it Rear Window?
Rear Window.
Yeah, we're looking through the window. So I don't like to know much about books before I read them. Just give me the short synopsis and let me dive in. But it's something about a woman who might drink a little too much wine, might have a little mental issues. She's living in New York City, and she sees something happen at the neighbors, and it is Did she actually see what she thought she saw? Was there some kind of murder that happened? Can she trust what she saw? And this story plays out from there. So we're excited to announce that as the first selection. We would love if you guys...
read,
yeah.
please. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's easily digestible. We'll put it out there. We're probably going to take it over the course of a month to read it, and we would love for you guys, if you're interested, to read along with us. And at the end of the month, we'll have a little book club if only a couple people want to check it out, or only if it's just me and you. We'll just discuss it in Discord. If we do get other people that want to read it,
welcome to my world.
And we want to do a little video chat, not online or anything, and just kind of discuss it and pick out something, it would be a great thing to get going. But anyway, we'd like to announce the start of that, and that's the first book. We'll post it out there. We would love to have you guys read along with us. That concludes the book section of the podcast, and we're almost done. I do want to address one question, so I'm sorry, Amy, but we only have one question, and I wanted to jump on it because it was asked by Broxy, one of our great supporters, and we've shouted her out before. But she had a question solely directed at me, and you're welcome to add any input that you have on the topic or anything you'd like to say about it. But the question was, I think, directed at me because I did play a lot of golf when I was in school. And Broxy asked, and this is total separate topic, who is your favorite golfer and why? Do you think we'll ever see another Tiger Woods in our lifetime? And what is my opinion on long putters? And is that why, in her words, we hate Adam Scott? First of all, we don't hate Adam Scott. Adam Scott's a great guy. Anyway, stance on long putters. First and foremost, long putters. I'm not a fan. They banned them 4 years ago, but the only ban that they did on it is you can't hold the putter against your person. You can't have it anchored on an object. I think people are getting away with it, and although they are not anchoring it on their chest, I think they might still be anchoring it on their chest. That said, there are no long putter users that are in the top 20 in putting stats or in strokes gained on the PGA Tour since the ban took effect. So ultimately, I don't have a problem with long putters. I don't think people should use them. That's my stance on long putters. Who is my favorite golfer and why? Do I think we'll ever see another Tiger Woods in our lifetime? My favorite golfer, and I had to think about this for a second, but for multiple reasons, my favorite golfer is Phil Mickelson. You might know him as Lefty. I'm not going to sit here and talk about golf all night, but really quick on why I like Phil Mickelson. Number one, he was the challenger to Tiger Woods while Tiger Woods was coming into his own. Number two, I'm a year apart from Phil, and our birthday's a day apart. So we grew up in the same time period. Number three, Phil loves his family. Any interview you see with Phil, it's all about his wife. It's all about his kids. It's all about doing things for them. He's had adversity in his life. His wife's had adversity. He donates a ton of money to children's charities and other charities out there. I think he's a genuine good guy. He might have some flaws that are out there that who knows what it is, but I think he's a really...
We all do, don't know?
Yeah, we all do.
Who doesn't?
And finally, one of my favorite things about Phil is I had some really good exposure into the PGA Tour through the course of the late 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. My father would volunteer at all the events that would come through Atlanta at the time and in Ohio back when we lived in Ohio. So we couldn't hang out with these people, but we were accessible. So by volunteering, you're on the practice range with these people as they're doing, just hitting balls on the practice range on the Tuesday before the event starts on the Thursday. Me, being the little autograph collector that I am, would run around and try to get autographs from these people when they played, not during the tournament days, on the non-tournament days. And Phil was consistently the best at spending time, especially with kids, but spending time signing autographs, making a connection with the fan. He was always super talkative on the driving range when you would watch him go down the course. Even on tournament days, he's just talking. I just think he's a great guy. And he was one of the only ones where I had a sign, the hush signs that you would see people hold up during that time period. I had one at the event, and Phil had walked by, and I'd asked him for an autograph, and he said, I need to go do this interview. I'll be right back, which usually in athlete terms means he's not going to come back.
Never, ever coming back.
Never, ever come back. So I stood there, and we're watching Phil do this interview out on the green. It's 50 yards away. And as soon as he's done with the interview, I swear to you, Phil finishes up the interview. He puts his stuff back in bag, like does this thing with his caddy, and then he looks around and he sees me and he comes right towards me. And some people were getting autographs in the way, but he comes right back over to me and particularly signs the sign that I have.
That's
and I'm like,
amazing.
that's something else, because I wasn't a little kid and I could have been easily in it to try to get his autograph to sell on eBay or whatever, but he was a man of his word. And so, yeah.
Man of his word.
That personally for me, Phil Mickelson, shout out Lefty. I still have it to this day. It's one of the things that is hanging up in my room, and I will not sell it.
Things you haven't gotten rid of.
Yeah, it's stayed with me for a while. The last comment on that, and I'm sorry to go on about golf, but I got to answer Broxy's question. Will we ever see another Tiger Woods in our lifetime? So I don't want to take anything away from Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods is a legendary person. He was groomed for golf from day one. I think he's 2 years old or whatever. The kid's trying to swing a golf club. His father was an integral part of that. I think his father is as much of a key to his success as any golf coach he ever had. Tiger, great golfer. Well, one of the best of all time, without a doubt. Tiger also came through at the right time when there was a little bit of a dip. Golf wasn't as popular. It was harder to get into the sport. He did not have as diverse of a competitive environment as people do today. And I think that didn't make it easy for him. He was still dominant, but I think you just have to look at time periods. So to me, it's almost the same thing as saying when in NBA, when you're comparing Michael Jordan to LeBron James, and I can go on about that for a while. But
golly,
but
please
they
don't.
they played in two completely different eras. So even if you take out the fact that LeBron never plays defense and MJ was a defensive champion for 3 years, even if you take that out, the game was completely different. So the game was different when Tiger Woods came through. Will we ever see another Tiger again? I don't think we will, just because of the game being different at that time. Will we see another golfer be as dominant as him? Sure. We saw Gary Player. We saw Arnold Palmer. We saw Jack Nicklaus. We've seen all of these golfers. There will be another Tiger Woods, another dominant person. It might take a little while to get there. We said the same thing after MJ. There'll never be another MJ. And we have people and we have the Kevin Durants and the Russell Westbrooks of the world that are close to MJ's status. But anyway, so I hope that answers the question. I do think we'll see one another day. And I will say this too with Tiger. Amazing that he brought the African American community into the sport of golf, and he was a legend,
and that's always important to remember.
Yeah, I know he gave
Taking that part away.
Yeah, he got those kids into golf, something that they never thought they would ever get into, and really paved a way for them to do something different. I say them like it's a bad, and I don't mean it in a bad connotation. But it's definitely, there were not a lot of African Americans in the sport of golf, and now we definitely see more than we did before. So he did a great job with that. On the flip side of that, the guy would never sign an autograph for a kid. You could have a dying kid standing there on the Monday of an event, and he'll ignore him every single time. And that's why I picked Phil and not Tiger. Anyway, I'm done. That's the question. That's answered the question. That's it.
Yeah, well,
anything to chime in on that? I know you.
Me on golf? Nope,
yes.
Not a thing. Nope. I got nothing. I don't have a lot of golf stats.
And for the record, I don't watch a lot anymore. I watch just the major events because I'm intrigued by the Masters and stuff like that. But with that said, that will bring this show to a close. We want to thank you guys for the support. We welcome you if you want to hear us talk about a topic. We've had topics thrown out there before. We were asked to talk about music. We would gladly do that again. We have a couple topics in our back pocket that I think could be really fun or could be really annoying. Like super annoying, like things that really annoy you all the time. That, could be a topic.
Might be our next topic.
If you have any Q&A questions, put them in Discord. You can also email us at overthehumpshow@gmail.com. There's a Twitter, Over the Hump Show on Twitter. And production has informed me. Production has informed me that by the end of the weekend there will be an Over the Hump YouTube page with all of the videos from the recordings of the show. So that will debut at some point over the weekend. You can go back and watch the videos via YouTube.
And awesome. That's really exciting. And also we might be having a book club. So if you want to join the book club, You know where to find it.
Yes, hit us up on the Discord.
Hit us up on the Discord.
And
We're gonna read the book, and we'll post the notes about what the book is, where you can find it, and then we will post when we are going to do a private discussion board on it. Right?
would love to have you.
We'd love to have you. We're fun. I mean, we're not that fun, but we're a little fun.
And the book club will be 1 minute talking about the book and an hour talking about whatever else is going on. So anyway,
exactly, and how it relates.
Love to have you there.
To whatever.
Anyway, thank you guys. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys on Twitch who are watching tonight. Thank you to those who watch the video on demand, Ty the Rogue, when it's not being shown. We appreciate all of you. Thank you again.
I tip my hat to you, good sir.
Tip of the fedora to you. Good day.
I tip my hat to you, sir.
So we will see you again next week. Thanks for making this possible for us. We're having a lot of fun doing it. We appreciate you guys, and we'd love to hear your feedback. And we will catch you again next week, for episode number 8. Unless you tell us to go away. Anyway, thank you guys, and we will see you again next week.
Peace out.
The peace out end.
Peace out.
Namaste is the entry, and peace out is the close.
Peace out, Mom. Oh,
no, I don't have to. I changed I can, yeah, we're good on the stop of the recording. Duo Katsuragi, thank you so much for the sub, man. 3 months is insane. I can't believe we're starting to get into 3 and 4 months out there. But thank you, Duo, so much for the sub. I really appreciate it, man. Team Metal.
4 months.
Glad to be a part of Team Metal. Yeah, Amy's 4 months. Duo, glad to have met you. Thanks a lot for the sub, man. I appreciate it, dude.
Aw, thank you. Tonight was quiet, but it's all good.
It was a little different.
Everyone's in post-election hangover mode, I think.
Yeah.
I just didn't want people to think we were going to talk about the election.
Duo with the Halloween hat is the favorite emote that floats over there. If you haven't seen it, hang on. We got to do it. Do it again. Watch it.
It's awesome.
Look at it. It almost fits perfectly. Floats up over the channel.
I need to stick on my head. Yeah, it was a little quiet tonight, man.
It was a little bit quiet, but yeah, we did, like you said, we did have the election. We've got a lot of things working against us. We had the election. We also had the time change. So now people are an hour separate than they used to be. And,
yeah, we might have to start later. Yeah.
Later or earlier. Yeah, we might be able to play around with the time a little bit, but we'll see how it goes.
I don't know what works for people. I mean, Dan was here. Nez was here. That's about it.
No, what are you talking about? No, we had a lot of people.
Kelly
was here. Fun. Den was here. Sweet was here. Zooted was here.
Nice.
Joey was actually here lurking. Redact Cat was lurking in the background. There's some lurkers out there.
I was like, they don't like our book recommendations. What?
Well, you're also taking something that it's going to eliminate some people too, because
that's true. Zooted was here, by the way.
Oh yeah, Zooted was here.
Thank you, Zooted. He's here. He's like, hey, I'm here.
Zooted's always here.
He's always here. He's the best.
He's a legend. But thank you guys. Good. We wanted to do something a little different, and I hope that was fun. And seriously, if you guys check out some of those books if you haven't already. And I saw Den, thanks for recommending some books earlier in the chat.
Yeah, we'll go back and check them out and add them, or if you can think about it, add them to our list of things we should read.
Yeah, definitely.
Reading's good. Reading's good for the brain, especially when you're old like me.
It is, and it's a weather right now, at least in the States, where it's not hot. So I forgot how much I enjoyed going out to the deck and just chilling out with a book for a little bit. And I'm not the kind of person, I can't read a ton. It'll make me sleepy. I get distracted, whatever. But the whole thing that brought the book thing back to me was there was a.
You make it sound so bad. You're like, I'm sleepy and distracted.
Oh, well, I get distracted. Like I I've got to be attentive to a book. And you know that
Yeah.
that's like podcasts. I can't listen to podcasts in my apartment because I'll just get distracted and
I
I'll
know
think of
that's
something
weird.
else. So
I can listen to podcasts all day, every day.
it's the way my mind operates completely different. But yeah, I forgot I had picked up a book about, I don't even know how I got there. Oh, so I'm a huge Nine Inch Nails fan, and I follow Nine Inch Nails Hotline, and they had tweeted out, "Oh, here's an excerpt from a book that a guy wrote about the Downward Spiral album." So just that album, there's a
That's
354
cool.
page book just about the album. I'm like, dude, that's my favorite album of all time. I'll go. I like the little excerpt
Like,
that I
I
read.
got this. I'm down.
Yeah, so I read it, and I'm not recommending the book for everyone because you have to be a huge fan. You're not gonna, if you don't like the album and aren't a fan, you're not gonna like the book. I'll just tell you that. But it kind of tied in what he was writing and things that are going on in society. But I was just sitting out on the deck, just reading. And I'm just like into this book, and I'm like, I forgot how much I liked reading books. And I sit here at night when you're not watching streams, you're not doing whatever, and I'm like, oh, we got to find another TV show to watch. Is there a movie on?
Hmm.
Books just haven't been in the mix, and I'm really pumped
Yeah,
to get books back in the mix again.
I actually found it was really hard initially during the pandemic. And I mean, when I say initially, still, that I was having trouble concentrating. I feel like my brain is not focusing outside of work where you have to focus and like the momentary things of my kids or whatever. I just feel like I can't concentrate on reading.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to trying to read something where maybe we're all reading it and it feels collective. Because I have a stack of books that I want to read, and I started a whole bunch of them. And I'm like, I just can't. I'm having trouble. Could be the election. It could be a lot of things. We'll see. But maybe this one I'm hopeful for because I feel like it's a little different type of book. I just don't need anything too heavy. I don't need anything too stressful.
Yeah.
That's why I can't watch like horror movies right now. I'm like, oh
We tried to find something that was kind of popular, got some good ratings, but was kind of light or whatever. I think they're making a movie of it. They make a movie of everything nowadays. So
yeah, they do. But
on a cruise I went to the library on the ship, got an Isaac Asimov book that was a collection of his work. Lady Din and I just laid on the deck reading one day at sea. See, that's awesome.
Isaac Asimov, that's amazing. Also,
That's awesome.
amazing author. Yeah, that's phenomenal.
And if you're there, and if you're not someone who reads books, the books that every one of the books that we recommended are super easy to read, super easy.
Yeah, we didn't like choose, or we're not like high and mighty. Don't get us wrong.
I'm not going to read a difficult book. Forget it.
He's like, I'm not gonna read something that's gonna take too much work.
I literally, if I'm like 2 chapters in and not feeling it, it's 100%.
I would say the books we talked about. I mean, it's still personal. It's like alcohol. It's like food. It's like anything else. It's gonna be personal. You might not connect to one of the books we recommended. However, I think they're all very readable. They're all very approachable.
Mm-hmm.
They're all very, I don't know. I want to say easy reads in the sense some of them are longer than others. I mean, Stephen King's always long, but I do believe they're all books that somebody might connect with. Maybe not everyone, but someone. So yeah, worth checking them out.
I think the Stephen King one is probably the longest book I've ever read that went the fastest. Like it didn't feel like you were trudging through this massively thick book.
It was really good. That book was so good. I don't even think. I almost feel like I need to read it again to appreciate how good it was. That's where I am with that book.
Yeah, Nez, the Stand. Except absolutely.
Loan to somebody.
Except you loaned it. It's gone.
It's gone.
I tried to get my dad to read it. He yeeted out.
It's a lot.
Yeah, the stand. You had to stick with it. Yeah, 5 days to get to the first 80 pages. Oh yeah.
The Stand is like a commitment. The Stand is like you're in for the long haul. You got to hang in there.
And didn't you make the comment too? You had the dictionary out for some of that stuff.
Oh, I love that. Honestly, that's just amazing.
Have a hard time making time for books. Yeah, that's super understandable.
I do too, Zooted, man. I'm like, I will find a million things to do before I read. But then once I start reading something, and if it's well written, then I will find a million things to do to not stop reading. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those, like, I want to go out and exercise. I don't want to, but I should. But once you do it, you feel better. That's how I
Yeah.
feel with books. It's like the minute you do it and you start getting into one, you feel better. It's just taking the time to disconnect your brain from the electronics and from whatever else is going on in your world, to just get into the pages of the book. And I personally, and this is probably not, a popular opinion, but I personally feel uh, the act of reading an actual book with paper and covers and turning the pages and the smell of a book is so different than reading an electronic book. And I think reading an electronic book makes it almost feel, it competes too much with everything else we do in the electronic world, whether it's work or gaming or videos or anything. And I think it loses the magic of what an actual paper book is. And that might make me sound old, and I'm probably very old. I am old. But I do think there's something to it. Even my kids are really, I don't know, adamant about reading a paper book and making notes in the creases and books they love. So I do think maybe if you've only been trying to do the e-reader stuff, try an actual book, a paperback. It doesn't have to be an expensive book. And see if you get a different emotional connection to it, because I definitely get a different emotional connection to a book when I read it.
Yeah, but
and it's physical.
To Den's point too, getting it on Google Play helped you get back into reading because you had it on. Yeah, you'll get the situations where maybe you don't have time to go out to Barnes and Noble or to order on Amazon or whatever. So it's really easy. You just download it and bam, there it is. You can do whatever. So that's a huge benefit of it.
It could be an age range thing. It could be.
English really was terrible in primary school. I must have been reading The Stand with dictionary at 14 or 15. Oh wow, Nez.
Oh wow, that's young though for that.
I've never done e-reading. Yeah, I tried to do I read something. Gone Girl.
I've done both.
I read Gone Girl on ebook, and for me, it's not for. I like the book, and even when I bought this book that we're going to read on Amazon at paperback and hardback, I bought the hardback because it was only a couple bucks more. I like a hardback. I like the whole.
I really do love a hardback book. I also I've done audio. I've listened to a bunch of audiobooks. I actually don't hate audiobooks. So a great option.
Yeah.
I'd prefer an audiobook over an ebook, and my number one preference is always a hardcover book where I can just crack open the binding and smell a good book. As a little nerdy kid who read every book in my little tiny itty bitty elementary school, to the point where the librarian was like, "You've literally read everything." I don't know what else to give you. My 8th grade class had 30 kids in it, so we're not talking about a big library. So it's not like I was some super genius, but
I just get distracted.
That idea. Oh yeah, I mean I get it too.
I like a physical book because, like Skodra, I get distracted easy. If I'm an e-reading thing, I get distracted by electronics in general. I need a quiet room, TV off. Yeah, same way. I need to have things off. Just me and the book. Same duo. I can't read with TV or PC. Yeah. I see y'all's point, but having it on my phone, I can easily read a few pages here and there when I have time, especially laying in bed when Lady did. Yeah, I totally get that point, Dan. 100%.
So many of my friends only read e-readers because that makes so much more sense for them. Yeah. I think for me, it's a weird emotional connection to the paper and the smell, and the little kid in the library who was a nerd who the librarian let me sit in the library and read books when I was lonely.
Plus the other advantage of ebooks is you can find ebooks out there, if you know what I mean.
We're not gonna say it. We know what you mean. I do just love that collection. My kids, it's funny, I've seen my kids and I'll find a book laying around and I'll pick it up and I just see all these little scribblings in the margins, and it just I don't know what that evokes for me. It evokes just that they had a passionate connection to a book, and each kid is different books, especially my older one. She just has this if she has a book she loves, she'll read it over and over and over and over again, but she also has notes and scribblings, and
Oh wow.
it's amazing to me to see, and I'm like, wow, that's such a great connection to this particular,
I
binded copy of something.
have never read a book twice.
Really? I know I have
Nope.
only read a few twice. I haven't read a bunch, but I have read a few twice. A few only.
If you know what I mean. If you know, you know. If you know, you know, Ness.
If
If you
you
know, you
know,
know.
you know.
Only
I feel
paper.
like that's like a real like mafia saying. If you know, you know.
Only paperback here for sweet. Check out We Are Bob, by the way. Wait a minute. Is that a real thing?
I feel like that. I feel like it's like a cult classic.
Or are we doing the another day away I
Yeah,
toil,
exactly.
minimal wage for working the soil, blessed is Bob, he labors with me, blessed is Bob, blessed are we.
I feel it.
Meh.
It feels a little sketch.
Sweet, is that a real book? I've read some
It,
R.A. Salvatore books a dozen times. I don't know who R.A. Salvatore is.
ooh, that makes I write that down. I want to know.
Googling. Googly googly.
Oogly googly. You can see where my
R.A. Salvatore books in order.
read them out.
Oh, fantasy? The Crystal Shard, Exile, Sojourn.
What
Fantasy.
What are the years of this? When were they?
1988, 1990,
Oh
1991,
wow, that's like
1989.
I do feel like I know this.
The
I didn't read it.
Demon Wars saga and the Legend of Drizzt, for which he created the popular character Drizzt de Erden. And Vector
Do I
Prime,
feel like you're
the first novel in the
wait?
Star Wars New Jedi Order series.
I just feel like Duo is so young to. I feel like those books are older. I guess it doesn't matter.
Forgotten
It's like The
Realms
Hobbit.
books. Ah, interesting. D&D adventure book, yeah. Icewind Dale. Wait, he
Oh,
did Icewind Dale? I played Icewind Dale. I never read the books, but I played it.
interesting.
Huh.
That's cool.
That being said,
you are
I
young, but
did
you are young.
I did read The Stand about 5 times because I loved it so much. Nez, that's insane. That's a long, such a long book.
Duo, yeah. I just feel like those books but that's cool. It's cool that you go back to that time period of the early 80s, which is more my time period. I wasn't reading those books, but that's cool because I'm thinking of some of the fantasy stuff I was reading at that time. I feel like Lord Fal's Bane and books along those lines. Of course, though, when I think about it, I was reading The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings
Yeah.
as a young person. So, and those were written much earlier than me. So I guess, I don't know. I'm just trying to put everything into perspective time period wise. But yeah, I thought you were young. Sorry, I'm looking at this. I don't have my glasses on, so
The last
I'm
book
looking
I
at
read
the.
was the last Aragon book. I forget the name. Yeah, those are super popular. I haven't read those.
Oh,
I
yes.
haven't read a lot of, well, any fantasy. Other than Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, that kind of stuff.
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Well, yeah, that whole series.
That whole
Well,
series.
actually,
Honestly,
up
that
until the
opened
boat
my
one,
eyes.
the Caspian something.
Hmm.
I think the fourth one or something is where we
I
we're
read
good.
every single book in that series. I found that to be incredibly eye-opening. I don't know how to put it. As a little kid, when my librarian and me being the nerdy kid in the library who was there like putting books away and reorganizing things because I like to be in the library. I feel like you could write a little story about me, but I read every book and I mean I literally read every book that was of my age in that library, and I read that whole series and that every single book in the Laura Ingalls Wilder series and
Oh,
every
funny.
single stupid Anna Green Gables book because you could at some point you've read every book in every series. They don't take that long if you're a decent reader.
Judy Bloom.
Those were even too young though. Like you needed something a little more mature. I mean, my school went from K through 8th grade. I had the same 30 kids with me from kindergarten through 8th grade. So, yeah. Our library was not big. I was literally Little House on the Prairie, maybe.
I did not read. I didn't like reading because I felt reading was forced. Like, okay, you got to do this book. You got to do a book report. You got to do this book. You got to do a book report. I'm like, I don't want to read this book. It's a whole book. I got to read it. I got stuff to do.
Yeah, I got it. That's the problem. You have to help make sure people find what they enjoy. There's so many different choices out there. And you don't want to force kids to have to read things they don't enjoy.
This is true.
And that is my philosophy on reading.
And that's the bottom line because Amy Beth said so.
Find what they like. My kids are easy because they liked fantasy and crap like that, but good stuff.
Stone Cold lives in Nashville now. I did not know that. FYI.
All right.
Let's... Cool. All right. Ready to wrap it up for the night?
I am. I have to work
Let's do it.
earlier than normal tomorrow, so it would be great if we wrapped it up.
Let's wrap it up. Guys, thank you as always for being here. Really appreciate the
so
support
much.
tonight. Thanks for holding down chat for us. Just
Appreciate it.
thanks for being here weekend. You guys are here right when we start and you're here throughout. Really appreciate it. It means a lot to us to be able to do this. It's a lot of fun.
Totally.
And we're glad you're here. I hope you two get some rest. Thanks again for the podcast and the company.
We're super tired.
Yeah, it's been a long one. We're feeling much.
It's been a long week.
Much better though now.
It's been a long weekend. It's Wednesday.
As far as stream goes, we'll be back tomorrow night with Tarkov Thursdays. What's going on Friday? Can't remember what Friday is. Monster Train and Watch Dogs Legion, I believe. Saturday there's no D&D in the morning, but Saturday night we are going back to Tsushima. If you had any interest in Tsushima at all, come hang out with me Saturday night and let's go back to Tsushima. I spent like 6 hours looking for a bunch of banners. I had to find 80 banners around the world. So now we're going to wrap up the 3 other side characters' tales. We're going to wrap them up on Saturday. It's going to be a lot of fun. The last and final Tsushima stream. I might shed a tear when it's over because I really love the game. And I can't wait to wrap up the final stories. Anyway, that's Saturday night. Sunday night will be GeoGuessr. We'll be back again with that. And with that said, let's find someone to raid. As every Wednesday night, we have 2 selections. I think last week we raided Ella, so this week we'll raid Cuttleboo. Cuttleboo's playing Island Saver, and I have no idea what that game is. So let's go find out what the game is.
Let's go raid Cuddle.
Nez, thank you for popping out the raid message. Let's go give her a hello. Man. She's got 5 messages. 5 viewers right now. Let's go say hi to her. Hang out with her as long as you'd like. She's good people. Let me click on raid. Cuttleboo. Start. And just again, thank you guys. I appreciate you guys spending the time here.
Thanks so much.
And I'll see you over in Cuddle Stream. Bye.
I'm so tired. Tired.